I like deaths in The Walking Dead as much as the next guy. Unless that next guy is beta. Now, do you remember when I uploaded that video called Ezekiel's Death Foreshadowed, and it was a complete breakdown and analysis of that red and orange teaser trailer that Ezekiel was narrating over? Throughout this teaser, Ezekiel was reading out parts of Rick Grimes' Season 8 premiere speech. And just after Ezekiel mentions freedom, the silhouette of a water tower pops up on the screen. And if you didn't know already, this water tower is pretty much foreshadowing and confirming that Gabriel's comic death will take place. Gabriel's comic death is by far for me one of the most brutal in the comics. And I've always thought it would be Sadiq or Gabriel. This teaser was the only thing that really ever convinced me Ezekiel would get that death. But something completely went over my head in the premiere that I didn't even mention in my review. Ezekiel was standing on the edge of the docks and Daryl walked up to him and he started talking to Daryl non-stop about how he was scared of birds. He talked about tigers, lions, of course referencing Shiva, but he just didn't like birds. He said he's scared of them, you can't quite predict their nature. And what did we keep seeing in that teaser trailer that Ezekiel was narrating over? A raven. And in this trailer, like I said, there's a water tower. Just after Ezekiel talks about freedom. The raven in this teaser trailer looks like it's on top of a water tower constantly, or just a tower. I mean, to be fair, it could just be anything, but the fact we see a water tower as well in this trailer above anything else, I think that's pretty fair to say that the raven in this teaser is on top of a water tower. Now, what does that mean? Well, we can connect it to what Ezekiel is saying right now. He's scared of birds, is on top of a water tower. It's pretty likely and pretty obvious what this is suggesting, but that's not it. Ezekiel goes into detail about what scares him most about birds.
Ostriches. Those things are disemboweled for looking at them sideways.
Do you see why I'm worried for Ezekiel now? Do you see what I'm trying to put together? Birds, disembowel, and water tower. You kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to say here. I've never thought this, but I think Ezekiel is going to get Gabriel's comic death. I could have never predicted he'd be the character to get it. I would have thought he'd have a sacrificial death, or maybe just a death that actually meant something. Gabriel's comic death is such a pointless one. It just happens and nothing really comes from it. But I guess what would come from this is Carol wanting to fight on. I think Ezekiel is one of those characters to her that if they died, it would push Carol over the edge to do something. Because we've seen she's faced Alpha. She's had plenty of opportunities to kill her, but I think this would finally do it. Now you could say, oh yeah, Ezekiel doesn't, yeah, they're not together now. That doesn't matter. It's Ezekiel and Carol will be pissed off if that happens. Now obviously she hasn't been pushed enough by Henry, her pretty much own son. But that's not really the point here. The reason Carol didn't push back on that is because Henry's death itself was a warning that a war would start if they carried on doing what they were doing. But Ezekiel's death would, I feel like, only push Carol and Jerry. And I don't know if you noticed this in the premiere, but after Ezekiel was talking to someone, for example, Daryl, when Connie came along, he was just kind of hanging there. He was just kind of an extra character. And I've been saying this since the season 9 finale that he would die, but I think the circumstances are slightly different now. I thought he would die because he's getting slightly angry towards Daryl, which would lead to him killing Ezekiel, but that's just so far off now, because he's so different. Ezekiel has shown that he's not angry towards Daryl, he doesn't blame anyone now, probably not even Lydia. So right now, Ezekiel's one of those characters that I feel like are in the show to die and to develop another character, which is, by the way, pretty much 90% of all the characters that have loved Maggie. But Ezekiel isn't a leader anymore, and all he's got now is connections, and I think that makes him a perfect candidate, not just for Gabriel's comic death, but for any death. A lot of people say just because Ezekiel survived his comic death, which was the Pikes, he automatically can't die now because he was kept alive for a reason. That's not a real philosophy, that does not work. Abraham avoided his one, Denise got his death, and he died by Lucille. And there's countless other examples I could tell you about, but it's just so clear to me right now that this storyline is just going to spit Ezekiel right back out. He's not meant for this story. I think there's a reason Robert Kirkman killed off Ezekiel. He was the character of hope, bringing everyone together, but he died because of it. And it's clear Ezekiel's lost everything, so right now he's just hanging there waiting to die to develop another character, which will be Carol and Jerry. In my season 10 predictions video, I actually said Nabila would die. Now she's barely been on screen. I don't think she's been on screen at all in season 10, but I do think that's going to happen purely to develop Jerry, to push that character forward, just as Ezekiel's death will. Now the way this foreshadowing has been going on, you know, with birds, with water towers, and with what Ezekiel's been saying, it's the same thing with Sadiq. Apart from, of course, Sadiq has been seeing spiders. is? Well, he sees a spider and it's the representation of his fear. Fear is something in context of Gabriel's comic death that you need to have that death. Ezekiel doesn't need to be scared. Sadiq doesn't even need to be scared. But the fact Sadiq has shown to be fearful and have such a close encounter with the Whisperers and be so scared is a perfect foreshadowing that he's going to get it. So this is where I'm going to ask you who you think this death is going to be before I say my final prediction. Of course, it's going to be a poll on the top right of your screen. Just click or tap on that and you can vote in it. Out of Sadiq and Ezekiel, who do you think is going to get Gabriel's comic death? I know we've spoke about this so many times, but after Ezekiel was saying this in the premiere, it does connect to the teaser trailer. And he's talking about ostriches disemboweling him. I'm just connecting all the dots here, and it just makes him far more likely than any other characters. But with Sadiq showing fear as well, it's so difficult to predict. Of course, comment down below your theory. I'm going to try and read all of the comments, especially for this video, because I'm really interested in what you think. I think what I'm going to say for now is Ezekiel is going to get Gabriel's comic death, because this is literal foreshadowing. Yes, Sadiq has shown fear, and I've always thought he would get it. In fact, I still do, partially. But I don't think this is just a small conversation that the writers have added in. I think this is Ezekiel foreshadowing his death. Of course, Christian Serratos, the actress for Rosita, is doing that Netflix show. I think that's in like a year's time. I think there's going to be 2 seasons as well, so it's a recurring thing. So I think she's likely to die too, but I have nothing really to believe that apart from behind the scenes the actress doing another thing. In my original video where I analysed this teaser though, she was the only character to have a raven in her picture, so I guess she's up for it too. I guess the 4 characters I'd ever say could get this death is Sadiq, Gabriel in the show, Ezekiel and Rosita. And possibly Kelly. But I think Kelly's going to have a death more related to her losing hearing, which is going to be really cool to see, honestly, because it's in the Whisperer War. She's not going to hear any walkers whispering. So I can see Kelly dying on the front lines of the Whisperer War, maybe, you know, when the walkers come to Alexandria. Now that would be after Gabriel's comic death, but I'm actually really excited for later on in this season. But yeah, I just wanted to show you today that foreshadowing that Ezekiel had in the premiere. That's serious. Like, if that does turn out to be Gabriel's comic death, that is going to be massive. Angela Kang is very good at foreshadowing, so I wouldn't put this one past her. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to press the like button. Actually supports me and we'll get this video more seen. And of course, it would just tell me you want more videos like this one. Of course, if you did enjoy it, make sure you check out my other videos. Like I mentioned in today's video, my Season 10 death predictions list, my full list, and I still stand with every single thing I've said. I think the way I've said a character has died has changed a little bit, but I think every character in that list, I genuinely think is going to die still. So make sure to go and check that one out if you want to see my full list on who I genuinely think is going to die in Season 10. Also, make sure to go and check out my Q&A video for Season 10. It's my 3rd Q&A. We talk about Ezekiel's big secret. How will Michonne really leave the show? And the darker side to the CRM. Make sure to go and check it out. And of course, lastly, make sure you go and check out my full analysis of the 3rd show spin-off connection to Rick Grimes and his movies. Now we've joined everything together, we find Rick Grimes is closer than we think. So make sure to go and check that one out if you're interested in when Rick Grimes could return, if he ever does, and what his movies are going to be like. Now, videos where I have face cam is going to be a permanent thing near the end of this month. I just want to make sure I have a good camera, which I will be able to, but at the end of this month, when I can actually have access to that. I will still, of course, have videos until then, with the camera I have now on and off, but for videos like this, I just think it's good to just get into the theory, get into the foreshadowing, unless it's needed, which I think sometimes it is needed, but at one point it will be a permanent thing. Around the 25th of October, I'm going to 100% always interpret that in, even if it's a really small video. That's what I came to YouTube to do, so I'll definitely do that again for sure. As soon as I have the quality, because for my facecam videos I was using a webcam, and it's not a bad webcam, but for me I need the best. And it is the best webcam you can get, but it's not really for doing the type of videos that I do. I mean, it's for live streams. I'm going to keep it for live streams if I ever start doing that, which I probably will on Twitch. Or every now and then on this channel I'll do that, but for those type of videos I do just want the quality and the best. So don't worry, I haven't gone back to the old format. I definitely prefer what I was doing, but once I have the best camera I can possibly get, that's when it will be a permanent thing. I've still got videos planned with this camera I've got now. I've already started on some projects, so there'll definitely be videos out till around the 25th of October, but around the 26th, 27th, I've got some really exciting stuff. One on the 23rd of October called 3 Years Later that I've been working on. I'm really excited for that video, so if you know your episodes, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. I've got a massive video planned for what happened in The Walking Dead nearly 3 years ago, but you'll know more about that very soon. Of course, make sure you subscribe so that you're the first to hear about The Walking Dead. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.